Looking at the switch, we're pretty much sure it's done, but we're going to look at it and see, can we test it, figure out a little bit about it, and kind of go from there. As you looked at the other video we saw, if you've seen my previous video, you saw the condition it was in. So this is original. So let's get some tools and get this thing up. All right, so I'm back with you. That's our choke. And that appears to be a gray, so we'll go ahead and take it out of the process and get that out of there. Wow, look at that. We're going to know that's our choke or our neutral switch. So we'll put it there. It comes back to the yellow. Save a little bit of yellow and brown for that. All right, now we're down to the bare necessity of it. Hey, red still looks red, right? So let's get that off there. That's our black. That still has a tinge of red and black to it. Assume that's an orange there. Let's see, can we save a little bit of orange to that there. Wow, that's corroded. Wow. Let's see, we'll call that one a little bit of white left of that one there. All right. All right, well, I think the first step what we'll do is let's, wow. Let's go run some water in it. Take a brush to it here. Let's see what we got here. Mostly what we do is we take and put a little water in it, wash out what dirt we can. When that gets finished, maybe we come back and hit it with a maybe a contact cleaner, and then we'll desolder all the electrodes. Let's see what we got. How's that sound? All right, I'm gonna run it with a hose and run it on the sink, and let's see what that looks like. Hopefully you can see what that says there. NDAC maybe? I mean, I think there's no debate. That's definitely original, so. Let's see, I'm gonna rinse that off and we'll see what we got. Okay. So here we go. Let's see if we got any continuity on the switch. So that's good. That switch works. All right, let's see what we have here. Let's take and That's going to be ground. Let's see what we got. Let's see what we got continuity on. Power's on. So we got nothing there. So power's on. What should we have power to? If that is black. Let's see, can we get So if we got it, that's off. That's on. That's on. There's our ground. Do we have power to anything? Right. Alright, so with power on there, got continuity there, nothing there. So my guess is going to be, that's going to be white, and we've got a book right there that shows us what we're dealing with there. So, and that's the book over there. So we got So let's see, if we take and put this on here, and tie this to this here, let's tie that together. Okay, and then let's try and tie this together. Oh, let's see if we get anything. Okay. Switching gauge. That's hot, that's not, that's not. That switch disengaged, that done. Okay, so we got continuity there. Let's see what we got here. Alright, so the switch appears to be functioning. So we're going to do some work, get some of that cleaned up, but that definitely, with that in cranked, that ground, that's our starter right there. That's orange, that's black, that's red, that's white. We'll have to look at and see what color it is, but that definitely cranks. So all right, that's what we know on that. So far, what we know is this switch functions. We'll test it again. We know we have continuity. When we're in, so that's grounded. I'm in neutral, out of neutral, neutral, out of neutral. So there we go. That functions well. So we step through that. We'll continue on the process. So I'll pull that out, clean it up. Looks like if it'll perform that functional movement there, might be, we might can work that through. So let's see. Can we put her back together? Let's see what we got. Rubber housing goes in there like that. So let's see what we got. Continuity here. Let's see what we got. That's a go. All right, there we go. There we go. All right, so that's a win. Hey guys, in this part of the video, I'm trying to desolder it with a regular soldering iron, and then I attempt it with a heavier or more wattage type soldering gun, and no success there. So I felt like the best thing to do was just grind it off. The solder they used 50 years ago was pretty tough. It did the job. So I moved on and ground it on down, and we'll proceed from here. Okay, today guys, what we're going to be working on is the switch. Let's be sure you can see what I'm doing here today. Oh yeah, that looks pretty good. All right. So we got some schematics we downloaded off the web. Kind of tells us a little bit about what the color should be. Here we have a schematic for a 850, 800, and a 650 4-cylinder, which is what we got. So this is kind of some general guidelines. And the thing we're going to really want to know, what we're looking at today, what we're working on today here. Let me grab a, this will do, paper clip will do. We're really looking at, we're going to look at the choke switch, which we know how it functions, and the starter switch. Now the way we're going to read this is off is D and E, and we see here you've got a D right there and E right there, okay? And we're looking at A and F. You've got a, I know you probably can't see it, but A is right there and F is right there. So there's our A and F. And to start in a connection, you need A, F, and B. So here's our B, there's our F, there's our A. So A was red. I call it orange. They call it salmon. That's a yellow. And maybe white and gray. Yellow there, white and gray being attack, I believe. Neutral switch here is a yellow wire, runs into a yellow wire into the yellow connector. And it's hard to see, but if you look into this diagram here, they have it marked into this diagram. If you turn it the way they've got it marked, if that's E, then that's B, and it would come into the choke switch. Looks like it comes into B. Looks like your yellow comes around and comes into B. Looks like the choke comes down and comes into, would come into F. So I'm going to tell you that's A, E, B, F. And I don't see a G, and I assume G is ground, is the assumption there. Yep. So that's kind of what we're going to work on today. I think the plan is going to be, I think we're going to take a Dremel tool and just kind of clean up these connectors a little bit so that we can drop a spade on there, spade connector, so we can do our testing. I'd like to get that put together. And if we look at it again, we see it here in this diagram. This is for a 654 cylinder, A, B, F, D. They really don't, and G is listed there, but maybe the base is the ground, maybe. So in that scenario there, we see the same wiring fundamentals going on there. So that's kind of what we're going to work toward today. Try and clean this up. We're going to take here is the wire that came off, so we know we had a gray, yellow, or red. They call it salmon. I call it orange, black, and white. That's what came off the switch. And we know they're extremely dry rotted. We saw that. What I did is I took yesterday from some parts of the cable that were still good, put together a wiring code of my own. That's what came out. So that's my yellow and my gray, and the salmon, the gray, the white, the black, the yellow, and the red. So that'll be mission today. We cleaned up the key. Hopefully y'all can see that. It's nice and clean. We even got the Mercury logo on it there. That's pretty impressive. Hopefully you can see that. But that's pretty cool. So we'll try and keep the Mercury switch. I think it goes like that right there. Looks like it functions fine. So that's what we'll do there today. Once we get that put back together, we're going to go back to the choke. It seems to function fine, so I'm pretty happy with that. Again, just trying to save all the original parts we can, put it back to original. Wiring diagram we looked at earlier. And yesterday we cleaned up our housings a little more, just nice and clean, washed them up a little bit. Got a little bit of the old muck off of it, and those will get painted. But today we'll do some preliminary wiring. Here's some spare wire that we saved from the old control cable. And of course, as with everything, switch come from there. As we go through it, I'll film what we're doing on the JVC camera. I'll shut the GoPro off. Again, remember, like, share, subscribe. That's the mission for all of us. So if I'm doing it the way you like it, like it. If I'm not, tell me and I'll try something different. So here is the other side cleaned up. We're going to paint those, get that set up, ready to go. All right. Okay guys, here's what I did. I went ahead and cut the control cable off at the end, as we talked about earlier. It looks like the battery cables are good. You'll see from the GoPro footage, we spliced in the control cable. All this is good. It's not dry rotted, so that's usable. So when we put the new control cable on, we'll join here, solder into that, and control the motor. And there's our battery cable. So that's good. I fit it into here. We took and cleaned that end up, and it's now connected to the motor. So from here, what we'll do is we will probably reconstruct the control cable. Let me get... Okay guys, here's what I've done. Based on the wiring diagram I showed you earlier, I went ahead and put together some spade connectors. I ground off the fittings to where the connectors on the switch, much like you see here. Now I've not integrated the choke into the system. Right now I just want to see if the switch will crank and to get some readings on the motor from a voltage standpoint. So I went in, ground those off with the Dremel, cleaned those up, and then I took a spade connector, this style connector here, and have integrated them onto the switch, much like that right there. Okay, it's temporary wiring for the testing we're doing today. So what I've done, taken and I've attached the positive to the positive battery lead, and I've attached the negative to the negative battery lead, which you see behind here, which is below here, and I have them separated so they don't ground. And then I went through and built a setup for the switch. So now once I put power to the battery, we should be able to turn this on and get some readings and figure out what voltage is going on. Now going forward, this housing here, all this will need to be removed. But really what we're trying to determine is, does it start? Now, the question, can we get it to crank? We know it'll run. So I went ahead and insulated this wire. This wire was bare, and we have a lot of that going on in the system. But the ground seems good, and this wire comes over to here, and it appears at one point it was maybe either yellow or maybe white. This is a red wire. So what we're going to do right now is turn the switch off, put some juice to it, see what we get. Okay, so we're on, at least according to the switch we are. So let's take the voltmeter. And if you don't have one, I recommend buying one. And there are tons of videos on how to use them. So let's take a look and see what voltage, if we've got voltage. And if we do, where it's at and what we got. Alright, so let's see. What I want to know is, do I have voltage on that right there? So on that right there, we have 12 volts with the switch on. Let's turn the switch off. Switch is off. I still have 12 volts. With the switches off, that's hot. Don't know that I have the switch wired correctly, but I have 12 volts on that. Let's see what we have here. I have nothing there. I have nothing there. Okay. No ground at the motor there. Okay guys, let's see what happens. Wow, look at that. It works. Let's try one more time. How about that? 50 years later, it'll crank and the switch still works.